Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Easy Peasy Show brought to you by Sportasonic. You can listen to every episode of the Easy Peasy Show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or anywhere else you usually listen to your podcast on. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Now let's get into the episode. Welcome back to the Easy Peasy Show. As always, thank you for listening. I am Zach here with my co-host Peyton.
What's up?
Today's today is September 22nd. We have another exciting weekend full of football fights, all of the above. I mean, hopefully, maybe some fighting in football. I don't expect to see much football within the fighting. I know Sugar Sean likes to do his crossover celebration. I don't think he did that against Aljamain Sterling. Maybe because he would have been deemed racist or something.
No,
Now
he
that I
was
think
actually
about
respectful for. I couldn't believe it.
it, Sean O'Malley.
I know it was unbelievable until the video started coming out.
Yeah, fair enough. Once he realized he was champion, it didn't really hit him. It didn't really hit him at
You
the time.
are the man. You're the man.
Oh man, but yeah, I guess that's as good as of a segue as any into our fight night predictions. By split decision, fight night for September 23rd, 2023, which is going to be headlined by a couple of great fighters, Fiziev and Gamrot. Should be, I mean, decent card. I think the fights that are bad are pretty bad, and the fights that are good are gonna be really good. I'll just put it like that. Um, I think yeah, we have two ends of the spectrum here for every single fighter, every single fight, I should say. And let me think for what it's worth, it should be a decently interesting card, especially the main card aspect of it. So with that being said, we can move on into our predictions, Peyton, if you're okay with that.
Yep, I'm ready. You want me to lead the way, or would you like to lead the way?
It don't matter to me. If you're feeling confident about some of these names, I say go for it.
Hey, you know what? I've learned just go with it. So we'll start off with fight number one of the night: Rendon
Mhm.
versus Vidal.
Oh,
Um,
oh no,
Vidal, whatever. I
no,
don't
I'm
care.
joking. I think you got it.
It don't matter.
You have
I'm
to
a,
say the
I'm
first names too.
mm, Let's not test our luck. Um, so Rendon is making her UFC debut. She's actually 5-0 on the fight circuit. However, she will be the underdog on Saturday. Um, sadly, sadly for her, I should say, sadly for her, Vidal is superior in just about every category in the fight. The only ability that Rendon has over Vidal is her ability to win questionable decisions. Um, But yeah, I mean, I don't see this fight being very competitive. Vidal is fighting for the second time in the UFC, so she's got a little bit of experience. She's younger, about 10 years younger, and so she's raw, but Rendon's also kind of a raw prospect, and she's 10 years older. Um, and even that being said, she's still more put together than Rendon. I expect her to get a takedown and then just grind out the match on the mat. So I do have Vidal by decision.
Yeah, I have Vidal via decision too. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about either of these fires. I'm not too impressed by either of them, especially the Rendon side. It kind of worries me that she's in the UFC. Worries me for the fact that they just give contracts to anyone nowadays. Worries me they just find they can find a crackhead on the street and probably put her up against Vidal and probably have as as good of a time as Rendon. Yeah, I mean Rendon's not the worst fighter I've seen, but UFC caliber that's a pretty big question mark. Um, from the fights I've seen, the highlight, the mixtape or whatever, it's not the greatest fighting skills. I mean, she has like these flashes. But like I said, I really have to wonder how she even got a contract in the UFC. Vidal, on the other hand, much younger. I think even though, like I said, she's younger, she's got the same amount of experience as Rendon, or at least the level of fighters. Before what it's worth, yeah, she's all around the better fighter. She has about much more power on the feet, so she's going to have a striking advantage. And she's a brown belt in BJJ. So yeah, I mean, if it's on the ground, I don't think Rendon stands a chance. And so, but I think for what it's worth, yeah, regardless, on the feet, on the ground, don't matter. I have Vidal via decision, and it's worth noting that Vidal is a minus 225 favorite via DraftKings as of this morning, a minus 225 favorite compared to Monster Rendon, a plus 195 dog.
Yeah, and I think those are. I mean, the odds are. I mean, they're not necessarily close, but I think they're closer than I think this fight will be. I think this is going to be pretty lopsided. Um, but we'll move on to the second fight of the night: Mizuki versus Goldie. Mizuki, who's 14-6, She's making her first appearance in 3 years, which normally I'd kind of go with the person who hasn't taken a 3 year layoff. However, Goldie sucks. So, uh, yeah, no, she sucks. So, but Mizuki, she opens up as a decently large favorite over her opponent. She's a rapid firing boxer, great cardio, but she does have some pretty questionable takedown defense. Kind of due to her size, she's a little undersized for her weight class. And I think that's kept her from maximizing her potential in the octagon. Um, However, I still think the version we saw 3 years ago was still good enough to beat Goldie. I'm gonna lean for her to get a pretty easy decision win over Goldie on Saturday. But we'll go to Goldie's side. She's 6-3. She tore it up at the lower levels of MMA, but then once she got into the UFC, I mean, she's horrible. She's got one win since entering the UFC, and that was basically a upset armbar over Emily Whitmire, who is 3-3 herself. So it's not like she's anything to write home about. Um, I mean, Goldie, if you see a picture of her, she's freaking jacked, but it doesn't. I don't know if she's just not strong or if she just doesn't use her strength to overpower people or what. But her boxing's not very good, so maybe she should do that. But who am I? At the end of the day, I guess she still has an OnlyFans, and maybe that's successful. I don't know. Good for her, I guess. But I mean, if she loses this one, it might be her final fight in the UFC.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think pretty much everything you said about Goldie can be said about a lot of the fighters. Yeah, she looks jacked in her pictures, and like I said, I mean, shoot, the next fight that we're going to be talking about, there's a pretty big physique difference in the fighters, but I think there's also a pretty big skill difference. Sorry, I'm already talking about the next fight. It shows me how interested I am in this fight. For what it's worth, I have Inoue via decision, Mizuki Inoue, via decision. Yeah, the layoff is a little sketchy. And not only is it a 3 year layoff, but it's also a 4 year gap since she last actually won a fight. And from what I was reading, she's actually been battling injuries in her time off too. So it's not like, it's not like she's just strictly taking time off to train to get better. Obviously she was, but she's also been spending quite a bit of time in rehab essentially. For what it's worth, very good volume from her. I like her striking. Um, and she looks good on the ground, but I will say that the level of opponents that she's faced and that she's looked good on the ground against have been much lower level opponents. Hannah Goldie will probably be another lower level opponent for her on the ground. I think everywhere this fight goes, Hannah Goldie doesn't stand a shot. She's a plus 250 dog compared to a 310 favorite in Mizuki. I mean, her boxing isn't half bad, but I mean, for as jacked as she is, her power sucks. As far as the ground game goes, she looks like a turtle on her back. She gets controlled pretty easily, but if she's on top, she looks okay. Like I said, she just kind of uses her strength to just kind of just stay there. But yeah, I got Inoue winning via decision. Um, I think Goldie, like, so will kind of like maybe flash here and there, but I doubt she does anything worth getting a 10 on any of the judges' scorecards in any of the rounds. So yeah, give me Inoue winning via decision.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. We'll move on to the next fight. Usman versus Collier. Sadly, sadly for him, it's not Kamaru Usman. It is Muhammad Usman, of course, the brother of Kamaru Usman, arguably the greatest of all time in his division. But yeah, this dude is not named Kamaru, as I said earlier. Nor is he nearly as good as Kamaru. He shocked everybody by winning the Ultimate Fighter, and did so with a knockout of Zach Pauga over in the finale. Um, he did win his first and only fight over a fighter that we've covered, Junior Tafa, but I don't think. I mean, Junior Tafa is not the greatest, so yeah, he's not the most technical fighter, but he has shown that he can take a lick and he can respond. He's also in great shape, which I can honestly say is the exact opposite of his opponent Collier. I mean, he's horrible. I mean, he's 13-9 overall, 2-5 since moving up to heavyweight with three straight losses. Um, I will say this about Collier: he seems to do pretty well in the first round, but I mean, he falls apart like really fast after that. Um, I mean, Muhammad is in way better shape than him, so I think his cardio just outlasts him, goes to a decision victory for Usman.
Oh yeah, it's interesting you bring up the cardios. I kind of have to disagree with you. I think they both have terrible cardio, but Muhammad Usman's is even worse than Carter's, which is saying a lot. Yeah, I mean Carter's been around for a lot longer than Usman has. They're both the same age, if you want to take that into account. And Carter has a significant amount of more experienced fights. He's been in wars. He's gone to decision. He's been knocked out. He's also handed out knockouts. Like he's been around for a while. He's done it all, and he'll continue to probably see it all. I think this fight is pretty closely lined for a reason. Usman's a -142 dog. Collier a plus one. I'm sorry, -142 favorite for Usman, and Collier a +120 dog. So for what it's worth, it's pretty much a pick 'em. And the only reason being is because Usman. Dude is jacked as albeit. I mean, he's a tank. He looks like Brock Lesnar in there. Unfortunately, though, um, I mean, he's no Brock Lesnar. This dude has terrible striking, probably some of the worst I've seen, even in the heavyweight division. His volume is god awful, and when he does throw, he's missing. I think he lands maybe about 20% of his strikes. But for what it's worth, those 20% of those strikes are super powerful, and they can knock out most anybody. Um, yeah, and like I said, I've already touched on his cardio. It's definitely nothing. Um, I mean, shoot, worth noting, really. Um, yeah, and Usman's probably gonna try and go for takedowns. Um, which I don't think is gonna really work against Jake Collier. Like I said, Jake Collier has the experience in there. His wrestling is actually not bad. Um, like I said, he's got a good wrestling and grappling background. So I mean, if you're Usman, it isn't going to be a walk in the park taking down Collier. You probably have a significant strength advantage, sure, and I mean you can manhandle him. That may be your only route. I think what little technique Usman has is probably going to go out the window pretty quick. Like I said, Collier does have bad cardio. I think it's just slightly better than Usman's. Granted, Usman has a smaller sample size, and I like Collier's boxing a lot more than Usman's. Like I said, Collier doesn't have the one shot knockout power of Usman, but for what it's worth, his volume and his technique is a lot better. And had to go and check out his Instagram, his social media. Jake Collier actually looks great. That's probably the best shape I've ever seen him in. I think at weigh-ins, he's going to surprise a lot of people. Dude seems genuinely happy. I know I got a fighter coming off of a 3 fight skid, I think. Um, pretty. I mean, for what it's worth, I'm leaning Collier here. So yeah, I got Collier winning via decision. Um, I mean, if he's able to survive the 20% Usman strikes, then I think he'll be fine. I think he's going to pull out of a decision win.
Yeah, all in all, I think that's going to be a pretty ugly fight. um,
Yeah.
I mean, even I know you say Collier looked to be in great shape. I still don't think that really means much, but we'll see. Um,
He ain't fat anymore. I guess I'll just say it like that. He don't look like any of his pictures you've seen recently, unless you have seen a recent picture of him, and I'm sorely mistaken. But from what I've seen,
nope.
he looks pretty good.
Yeah, well, that's good for him. So, moving on to the next fight, Malkin versus Brundage. So Malkin 7-2 overall. He seems good enough on his feet to avoid Brundage's power shots, and he's way better on the mat than Brundage is. So I mean I see that the fight going here early and often on the mat, and from there he'll just kind of grind out a decision win on them there. Brundage, on the other hand, kind of tough for him because he's a replacement of a replacement, and it's just not a good matchup for him. The odds are pretty swollen in Malcolm's favor, and that so I mean, there's kind of you know that would suggest that Malcolm is a lot better. Um, I mean, really, I only see his only path to victory is a miracle, and I think Malcolm is by far and away the better fighter between the two.
Yeah, I agree. How do you have Malkoon winning?
Decision.
Malkoon via decision. Yeah, Malkoon's no finisher. I agree with that. But I think for what it's worth, yeah, Brundage is terrible. This may be his last fight in the UFC. But I mean, for what
Womp
it's worth, he
womp.
puts on entertaining fights very early on, I should say. He showcases some great power. But like I said, Malkoon's a tough guy. Good offensive wrestling. Malkoon has great takedown defense. Brundage has bad defensive wrestling. Well, Malkoon has great offensive wrestling. Um, Brundage looks terrible on the bottom. Yeah, Malkoon's gonna feast on that. Uh, Brundage, he does. I will say, for what it's worth, he looks good on the top. When it's on the ground, but you're not gonna be able to keep Malkoon down on the ground on the bottom. Brundage, like I said, looks terrible on the bottom. Always accepts it, and even against the lesser opponents than Malkoon, he's in a bind. So yeah, Malkoon, amazing cardio, great wrestling, and it doesn't matter who his opponent is. He always just seems to be in control of the fight, which is something you like to see. Not necessarily like an intangible thing, but I think his technique and his wrestling just goes a long way and gets opponents very frustrated and essentially just tires him out. And so he's a good minute winner. I mean, I think for what it's worth, his striking is actually decent. His technique could be better, but his power behind the strikes is um is a high note, I think, for him. So yeah, give me Malkoon via decision. I don't think this fight's particularly close, and the odds seem to agree. Jago Malkoon, a minus 535 favorite. That's pretty heavy favorite going up against Cody Brundage, a plus 400 dog. So yeah, unfortunate. Brundage is a replacement here. Like I said, getting his name out there, I guess, and a feather in his cap, I guess, being the type of guy that accepts this kind of fight.
Yeah, I mean, not a smart decision to accept the fight, but hey, good for him, I guess. Got to give him props.
Yeah, money
Uh,
talks.
no kidding. We'll move on to the next fight. Means versus Fiallo. So Means has quite a bit of experience under his belt at 32, 15, and 1. And he seemingly revitalized his career after kind of some tough sledding. And however, his then he lost 3 in a row. So not great for him. He's kind of slipping now. On the other hand, Fiallo's also suffered 3 losses in a row, and all 3 have come by knockout. Um, he kind of freezes up in the octagon against a good striker. It's almost like he's trying to guess what's coming instead of just rolling with it. And um, yeah, I think that's going to kill him against Means. I do have Means winning by TKO. I will say this: Fiallo has a great power shot in his right hand, but uh, in his last 3 fights, I mean, it hadn't played a factor at all. So I don't see it playing a factor Saturday night either.
Yeah, Tim Means a plus 145 dog on him against Andre Fiallo, a minus 175 favorite. This fight's going to be pretty entertaining, I should say, because someone's going to get starched and someone's going to get starched. Um, Probably before the second round's over at the latest. Yeah, both these fighters on 3 fight skids. Tim Means moving into his 40th year of age here, pretty old. And like you said, 32, 15, and 1. So I mean, you do have to question the durability. I mean, even if you just you barely have a brain, you have to say, well, I mean, this dude's 40 years old, fighting in the welterweight division. Has 50 some odd fights. I mean, how is this dude even still standing? I mean, he barely is. I mean, uh, it's been pretty rough for him lately. He used to have great durability, but like I said, his age is just catching up to him, and he's just been in way too many wars lately for his chin to hold up. He's getting
On
dropped
point.
over and over and over again. Like I said, these wars are just adding up on his body, and unfortunately, his body just can't keep up. And like I said, his body hates his brain because his brain says we're moving forward, or we're throwing punches. And like I said, Tim Means fun guy to watch. I know his body hates him though, and he can't. I mean, I think for what it's worth, he could wrestle and grapple. He just won't. Like I said, maybe like a pride thing. Like I said, something we see way too often in the UFC. I mean, last week with Kevin Holland, we saw it. Uh,
Hmm.
I'll talk about Fiallo here. Yeah, Tim Means, like I said, has pretty bad durability. Fiallo, even worse. Augusta Wind is knocking this guy out. And on top of that, his cardio is terrible.
Goes to win.
Um, I mean, like I said, not only like I said, his chin sucks, his cardio sucks. You put the two together, how does this dude stand a chance? He doesn't grapple, and it's not because he chooses not to; it's because he can't. Um, he doesn't throw punches. His volume sucks. So, like I said, this dude's a minus 175 favorite. You have to question why. It's because of his power shots, as Peyton touched on earlier. This dude's power is phenomenal. Probably some of the best I've seen in the division. Probably pound for pound, some of the best power in the UFC. Unfortunately, this guy just sucks. I guess I can't think of the saying right now, but it's when you have something, but the exact opposite of it We have something great, but the exact opposite of it is terrible. You take one to give one. That's what Fialo does, and like I said, he's been getting beat up pretty bad lately because of it. So yeah, for what it's worth, I think someone's going down. If it's not Fialo early, then it's probably going to be Tim Means earlier. That's a Tim Means cardio would probably hold up. But yeah, I think ultimately it comes down to who lands the first shot, and I'm just going to go with the guy that has more power here, and Andre Fialo. So yeah, give me Fialo to win this via first round knockout. I think for what it's worth, this is going to be a very very entertaining fight. Not entertaining in the best of ways, but just entertaining in the sense that the UFC is funny putting these two guys together to fight. I think I'll just put it like that. That's about the best way I can put it.
Yeah. Another one we disagree on. Hey, that's good because lately we haven't been disagreeing on a lot of fights, so it's good to see some differential here. Um, Moving on, we got Argueta versus Johns. Um, Argueta, he's 9-1 overall. So obviously the record suggests that he's a pretty good fighter, which I think he is. But I mean, his defense is not the greatest. He can be extremely easy to hit at times. Um, but I mean, he just walks through everything. He's got a chin of steel. Um, he basically just eats whatever you throw at him, and then just throws his own game plan. So, um, he almost seems to get better in chaos, kind of like Justin Gaethje almost. But um, on the flip side, Johns, it's almost like he's uncomfortable in like favorable situations. He'll have people almost finished and then just like not finish them. I get trying to wait for the right moment, but I mean, he just doesn't. The right moment comes, he just doesn't take it. So I guess he just doesn't have a killer instinct. Um, I think he's a better fighter of the two, but like I said, he just leaves the door open for his opponents a little bit too much. So I have Argetta via decision.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Argueta, a minus 185 favorite going up against Miles Johns, plus 145 dog. Essentially another pick him, if you will. Argueta looks like a little bit more money's coming in on his side. Yeah, dude has good wrestling. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this dude's from not Contender Series. What's the other show called? The Ultimate Fighter, I believe.
Yep.
From like the first revamp season with Volkanovski. He has good wrestling. At least on the YouTube, I was able to watch of him. Very good grappling. I know like his submission victories have looked good, but he hasn't had one in a while, and he seems to have some favorite submissions to go to. If that makes sense. Obviously, everyone has something they're comfortable with, but I mean that just makes it easier for your opponent to be on the lookout for it and defend it. Granted, if you're really good at it, there's no defending it. And yeah, for what it's worth, I think this guy has a decent striking ability. I mean, boxing isn't the best, but his volume is up there, which you like to see. But going up against someone Miles Johns, who I think he has good wrestling, but he doesn't really use it much. Oddly enough, like I said, one of those idiots in the UFC who loves to not do anything to his benefit. Very low volume guy, but makes up for it in his power striking. But what's really good about Miles Johns, at least I think, is that his defense all around is probably pound for pound some of the best in the UFC. Not only can he defend takedowns, but he can also seem to defend strikes, whether it's smartly blocking it with his fist, arms, legs, whatever. But I mean, he can dodge and weave with the best of them. I'm not saying he looks like Ali out there, but for what it's worth, I think he has very good defense. Um, and then also on the flip side of that, though, his cardio, his gas tank, I should say, um, looks good in the beginning, and then he'll just randomly, it's like someone punctured a hole in the gas tank or something. You just see the little meter running down a lot quicker than it should. As the fight goes on, he slows down drastically. I think this fight's going to be very even, a lot more even than what the odds say. Um, I'm not sure what the odds opened up as, but hopefully they opened up a lot closer than what they are now. Because I think minus 185 for Argueta is kind of egregious. I would never bet that. Um, Even though I'm not sure. Like I don't know. I see this fight going either way, and I got Johns winning via decision. Um, I think Argueta is just going to struggle trying to wrestle against him. Even though Argueta's looked good against other guys, Miles Johns has significantly better defense than anyone he's faced, and I think that's going to kind of aggravate Argueta. And what's this fight going to come down to? The terrible judges of the UFC. So you know me, I'd rather side with the underdog. Give me Miles Johns here to win a decision via judging screw up, or via maybe legitness. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I can definitely see that as well. So, moving on, we got Ramos versus Jourdain. Ramos obviously famous for his spinning techniques. Uh,
Yeah, Ricardo Ramos going up against Charles Jourdain. Pretty much another pick 'em in a fight card full of, I guess, closer fights than even what the odds say. Like I said, I don't agree with some of these odds, but like I said, it really just fluctuates depending on who takes and more money. Yeah, I mean, I think for what it's worth, in my opinion, Ramos, his striking isn't great. I mean, it's good at best. I think it's decent. I think really what he really excels in his grappling and wrestling. His durability, though, leaves a lot to be desired. When he's losing, it's because he's getting finished. So going up against a guy like Charles Jourdain, you have to have a very specific game plan, and I don't think it really needs to be said out loud because Jourdain has been exposed. But I'll say it anyways. Jourdain has god awful takedown defense. I talked about Augusta Win knocking a guy out earlier. Well, Augusta Win's going to blow Jourdain probably out the cage. This dude has a terrible balance. He has like I don't know if his brain's loose or something, but I mean he can't defend a takedown to save his life. But what looks good on his part, and probably what has him as a slight favorite here, even though the odds, once again, in my opinion, should probably be just straight pick him. Um, he has a great get up game. People can't really seem to keep him down long. I don't know if it's just his build, his physique, or what. Like I said, I mean, you see the funny videos all the time of people saying, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is fake. You just stand up. Jourdain's kind of a living example of that. Um, I've been a fan of Jourdain for a little bit now. I think he's a very fun guy to watch, fun striker because he has a lot of great power, and I think his durability is some of the best. Like I said, Ramos, and what he's won some by knockout, right? I think he won a couple years ago, maybe a year ago, via a nice spinning knockout. But I mean, even if he lands that against Jourdain, I don't think Jourdain's going to go down. Jourdain's the kind of guy that just looks at you, smiles, and just throws the same exact thing back at you. Guy's fun to watch, but this really comes down to the game plan of Ramos, and if he can survive, I think the third round going up against Jourdain. Ramos needs to wrestle here, and if he does, and he's somehow able to keep Jourdain down, he wins. Do I think that's going to happen? Not at all. Like I said, Ramos. I mean, he's probably if he's smart, he shoots up to 20 takedowns. But like I said, maybe he can control Jourdain for like 6 or 7 minutes total. But other than that, I mean, you better hope that with all those takedown attempts that your gas tank holds up against a powerful striker in Jourdain. As I think Jourdain's going to weather the storm. I think he's going to piss Ramos off. And I think eventually, he's going to catch Ramos making a mistake going in for a takedown while tired, and he's probably going to knock him out. So yeah, give me Jourdain to win via knockout in the third round. I think both fighters have their paths to victory. I just think it comes down to really the game plans for either of the fighters. And Jourdain's got to know the takedowns are coming, and they're going to come in hot and heavy. And there's not going to be much he's going to be able to do to defend them unless he's been doing a lot of training in the past few months that I just don't know about. But yeah, like I said, lately especially, I've been tired of taking the grappler via versus the power striker. So yeah, I'm going to go with the power striker here and Jourdain to win.
hey, yeah, that's fair. Yet another one we disagree on though. Um, I think Jourdain tends to get a little over aggressive at times and leaves himself open for some takedowns. I think Ramos gets a takedown. Now, like you said, Jourdain has great get up game, but so I don't know if he keeps him there, but I think he gets enough control time. I think he wins by decision.
Yeah, it should be an interesting fight. Like I said, the odds, even though they seem to be favoring a lot of people recently, I think that's just a reflection of the money pouring in on them, not really the skill between the fighters.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for what it's worth, this should be another entertaining fight. But
Oh, without a doubt.
yeah, it should be a stylistic battle, which is always fun to see.
Yep. Moving on to speaking of battles, Battle versus Fletcher. Um, Battle, he's boasting a 10-inch reach advantage, and he's won 4 of his last 5 in the UFC. Um, I mean, he's not the most flashy guy. He's not on paper. He's not like anything spectacular, but I mean, dude just keeps winning and winning and winning. Um, so uh, to me, I mean, he just keeps finding ways to win, and so I do have him winning via decision here. More of a submission specialist kind of guy, by the way. Meanwhile, Fletcher, he's very, very aggressive, and but he's still kind of finding his footing in the octagon. So I do have Battle winning here by decision.
Mhm. Yeah, another interesting fight, and
Oh
we get
yeah,
a
without a
hometown
doubt.
guy in AJ Fletcher. Like I said, I think once again this is another fight where the odds should probably be a little bit closer than what they are. I wouldn't say pick 'em. I'd still give Brian Battle here an advantage. Um, for what it's worth, though, I think there's an obvious game plan here, just kind of like the last fight. It's even more obvious in this fight, I should say. Fletcher, he's really good at wrestling. I think at least. And Brian Battle sucks with wrestling. He can't defend takedowns, and when he's on the bottom, he gets controlled very easily. He has terrible bottom game, like I said, bad takedown defense. But on the feet, um, I think Battle has probably a significant advantage here. Brian Battle carries a lot of power in him. Like I said, he lives up to his last name, and he can mix it up very well. I like the way this guy mixes it up. Like I said, he's still I wouldn't say he's still a very raw prospect like he was in the Ultimate Fighter. He's been getting a lot better, but the main thing here he has going for him too is his cardio. AJ Fletcher's cardio is terrible, especially as the fight goes on and on and on. I mean, yeah, sure, every fighter slows down as the fight goes on, but AJ Fletcher, it is noticeable. And this dude is like, yeah, taking in half the oxygen in the arena in the third round. He slows down drastically. He make his, like I said, I guess less oxygen going to his brain causes him to make terrible decisions. Um, and he has terrible striking defense. I mean, he's eating shots like potato chips from other people, and you don't want to do that against Brian Battle, not someone who has that much power and who can just pick and choose their spots so well. Yeah, I think this is just going to end up being a cardio battle. I think Fletcher can win the minutes if he wants to, but I think maybe this is one of those things where like the first round, it's like Fletcher's going to look great against Battle because he's probably going to take him down and keep him there for like 3 or 4 minutes. The second round probably the same, maybe not as bad, maybe like 2 or 3 minutes. But then, like I said, I mean, maybe like I think towards the later end of that second round, I mean, there's Battle's just going to stand up, they're going to get up. I think that third round is going to be terrible. AJ Fletcher's going to be gassed out trying to go for a takedown. Battle's going to say nope. I mean, it's going to look like someone fighting in the first round versus someone fighting in the fifth round. So yeah, in the battle of gas tanks here, give me Brian Battle to win via knockout in the third round.
Yep, well said. Moving on, I'm gonna go Rodriguez versus Waterson Gomez. Both fighters are currently on a pretty good skid. Um, so this let me start off by saying this. This is a rematch of a fight, and to me, this fight doesn't really make sense that it was made. Um, Rodriguez was on the cusp of a title shot. Meanwhile, Waters and Gomez hasn't won since they last fought. So I don't really understand. I mean, their careers are in two totally different stratospheres at this point. I don't really know why this fight was even made. But um, going back to the last fight, Rodriguez was way better at striking, and um, yeah, I just don't really see much of a path to victory for Waters and Gomez. I have Rodriguez via decision.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time on this fight. First time they fought, and ended in a Rodriguez decision when I believe. I'm not sure if this was before or after Waterson Gomez got her compound last name. It doesn't really matter. And you said you don't know why someone made this fight. And I was a little confused too at first until I forgot that yes, Rodriguez is a top competitor. Now she's in a huge skid. So what do? They feed her someone that she's beat pretty handily before, and someone who's probably on her way out of the UFC, and Michelle Waterson Gomez. Um, you know, Rodriguez is going to have a striking advantage. She has good power and good volume. Waterson Gomez, though, like I said, she outlands opponents, right? But I mean, but her power is terrible. I mean, it's like she might as well be throwing paper balls at them. Um, She has good I'm sorry, good wrestling, I should say. She won't use it though. And the rematch from a couple years ago was actually a 5 rounder. Like I said, this kind of goes back to how, like I said, how dominant they saw Rodriguez. And like I said, I think they're trying to get her back on the right track. So what better way than to give her someone she's already beat and someone who, like I said, is on their way out of the UFC. So yeah, give me Rodriguez to win via decision. I don't think this fight's particularly close. It's going to play out exactly how the first fight went.
Yeah, I mean that might be it. That they're just trying to feed her somebody, get her back on track. But uh, man, it's still just. I mean, I don't know. It's just still weird. Uh, whatever, whatever.
Hmm.
Moving
It's
on.
women's
We'll,
MMA. Try not to think about it.
yeah, no doubt. We'll go to Mitchell versus. Is okay. I might need help with this one. Is it Ig or Eeg? Ige.
Neither.
Ige.
Ige.
Ige. Oof. I was way
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. Or try to say it like Ihe, maybe, but just like a little G sound, like Ige. Ige.
Ige.
You're still too much on the G.
Ige.
Whatever. You're good. Yes, it's better than I or E or yeah, whatever you're saying.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So, to me, this fight it's interesting. How does this fight play out? Will Mitchell land a takedown, or will Ihe use his jab to keep the distance on the feet? Um, because he's been really, really bad once the fight gets down to the mat, and he's had a lot of. Let me rephrase it. He's had no success against grapplers lately. Um, On the flip side, though, Mitchell only has finished 1 out of his 5 UFC wins. So I don't know. I don't think this fight gets finished, but I do think Mitchell wins via decision. And let me say this about Mitchell. Um, I see him crying this week about the Ilya fight, and yeah, he's not in the same stratosphere as Ilya.
Yeah. Bryce Mitchell, Thug Nasty, I believe. -2 at 5 favorite against Danny He, plus 170 dog. Another one of those fight. This is another one of these fights where I'm confused about the odds. This I think should legitimately be a pick 'em. Like I said, it's kind of hard to pick a fighter in a fight where each fighter has their ways of winning. It really just it comes down to who's going to implement the game plan better. You already kind of touched on it. It's can Mitchell get takedowns and keep Ihei there, or is Ihei going to just like not like run away, but I mean use his striking to his advantage
Just keep the
and
distance.
yeah, likes to keep it at range, which is he thrives and he thrives keeping fighters at range, and we see why because like you said, he doesn't really do well against wrestlers, but for what it's worth, you know, he has a lot of experience in the UFC. I said this is a guy's name you've heard for a long time now, and I mean the level of wrestlers he's fought were good, and I can't really say if they're better than Mitchell or not because I think Mitchell has some great wrestling too, but like his career is still young, so it's kind of hard to compare for me. Um, I think for what it's worth, Ihe isn't getting finished, so I don't see. I said Mitchell isn't finishing anyone. Ihe isn't really getting finished. So, like I said, it's going to be an interesting matchup, right? But I mean, both these guys have their ways to get a victory. I mean, this fight stays on the feet, stays at range, Ihe all day. But I mean, if Mitchell gets this fight to the ground and can control Hiei, then I think Mitchell's going to win the minutes and win pretty easily. And I didn't really mention it because you already mentioned it, but yeah, Mitchell over and over again in these fights, he's been making a ton of improvement. Like I said, his last fight he lost, but for what it's worth, pretty big step up in competition there. Young guy, still a lot to learn. I think this is going to be a very good benchmark, another good benchmark to see maybe if he can get back on track.
Yeah, I think the
Um,
UFC really likes him.
oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's the first guy with with like
No
shorts that
shorts.
were with the shorts that weren't traditional in MMA. Um, at least before like the Venom days or the Adidas days. No, I think Venom, no Reebok. I can't remember who it was, but they
Reebok.
had like all the brands and stuff on their shorts. It may have been before Reebok even. I think maybe when Venom was the original people. I'm not sure. Either way, yeah. I don't know how this fight plays out, and I kind of want to say EA pulls it out here, but I can't quite get there. So I'm going to say Mitchell wins via decision. Um, I don't
So,
know. I don't know.
mm,
Maybe let me see
mm,
the weigh-ins, and that may change my mind. But I don't. I can't comfortably pick a winner here, but just because I have to, I'm going to say Mitchell wins via decision. I guess he gets control of EA, and he's able to keep EA down on the ground. Which I mean, EA never goes down without a fight, and when he is down, he's still not giving up without a fight. So I don't know. We're really gonna have to see the skill of Mitchell here be brought to even another level than what he's used to. But
Oh, without a
I
doubt.
think he can do it. I think he can do it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now Mitchell is Mitchell another hometown guy for us? Is he from Texarkana?
Technically, I think that's where he's from, but I think he kind of lists himself from Arkansas.
Yeah, well,
But to see
yeah.
Syracuse,
Hmm?
Arkansas, nonetheless. That's where he's fighting out of.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know. I mean, call Texarkana what you want. I guess people call it Arkansas or whatever, but it's all three. So, nevertheless, close to home, I should say. But we'll move on to the main event, which I'm very excited about. Fiziev versus Gamrot, and it's another stylistic matchup here. Obviously, Fiziev is one of the best strikers in the division, and Gamrot is one of the better wrestlers in the division. Um, Now, that's not to say Fiziev and Gamrot aren't good at the other aspects of fighting. I think Fiziev is, uh, he's not much of a wrestler, no, but he has fantastic takedown defense. And Gamrot, no, he's not the greatest striker, but he's good enough to win fights on the feet. Um, yeah, it's another one of those kind of flip a coin, pick a winner. Fiziev was on a 6 fight win streak. Now he lost to Justin Gaethje, but I mean, that's the new and improved Justin Gaethje, where everybody thought I had for whatever reason. Everybody was like, "Oh yeah, Justin, it's the old Justin. He's done. He's washed." Like I don't know who put that in people's minds, but yeah, Justin Gaethje is not washed. Um, so he lost to Justin Gaethje his last time out, which is nothing to. I mean, yeah, good big deal. You lost to one of the better uh, fighters in that division. It's okay. It happens. I think he comes back, and I think he gets it done against Gamrot. I don't know exactly how. I think he has a little bit more. I know he has a little bit more power than Gamrot. So part of me wants to say he finishes him, but I doubt it. I think he goes to decision.
Um, yeah, yeah. Uh, I think Fiziev, he kind of sketches me out a little bit. At least in his earlier fights, lately he's been a lot better. I will say that. But his first fights, man, towards the end of them, he just slows down. Not as bad as some of these
Against
other
Bobby Green,
fighters,
he was bad
but
about it.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, like I said though, he seems to be improving, and he better be for a 5 round fight, especially getting him against Gamrot, a guy who's never been finished, a guy who
Let me
has
amend.
really good cardio.
Can I amend my decision here?
If you'd like.
Yeah, I forgot it was 5 rounds. So this fight ain't going to decision.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, Gamrot. Like I said, he has good cardio. He's never been finished. But for what it's worth, like I said, this is why you can't look at stuff all on paper. Watching his past fights, this dude's getting dropped left and right against people who don't have Fiziev power. I mean, it's amazing. It amazes me how well he recovers. That's to me that's the equivalent of saying he has a lot of heart. It's a backhanded compliment. Take it how you want it, but it's not the greatest compliment I can give you. Is that you can recover very well, because to recover, you're getting tagged pretty bad, and like I said, you're getting tagged pretty bad against people who are not Rafael Fiziev. Um, but look, you're Gamrot. You have good wrestling, and you do like to use it. You're you're not a stupid fighter. Congratulations to you. That's why you've made it this far in your career, and that's why you have such a good record. Fiziev, the other hand, Fiziev here, and I'm not sure if we mentioned it. Fiziev a minus 155 favorite, Gamrot and plus 130 dog, and like I said, I mean, I think the odds are pretty close for a reason. I already mentioned how Fiziev slows down. It kind of sketches me out, but for what it's worth, it has been getting better. Fiziev though, and this is why he's probably the favorite, and probably it may be one of the only reasons is because he's a phenomenal striker.
Mm.
Not only does he have good volume, but he has the power to back it up too. Um, like I said, you do not want to get into a striking war with this guy, unless you're like a Gaethje type or something. Then maybe you can feel comfortable.
Yeah,
But
but even
yeah,
then, I mean, there were a lot of moments in that Gaethje fight where he was outstriking Gaethje, and I mean, a lot of people, people might think, "Oh, Gaethje's not the most technical." Well, Gaethje was outstriking Dustin Poirier in their last fight. So, I mean, Justin's a dude. It's not
yeah,
just
yeah,
all chaos and
absolutely.
power with him. It's a lot of technical.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I think a loss to Gaethje looks a little bit better than a loss to Dariush. I mean, I think they're both good losses for what it's worth, and both these guys have good records, have good records, I should say. Maybe I give a slight edge to Gamrot as far as the experience is concerned. But yeah, look, this is a 5 round fight. Gamrot's going to have a significant cardio advantage, at least I think, unless like I said, Fiziev has just been getting even better about his cardio. But I don't know. 5 round fight. It's going to come down to who can win 3 rounds against these judges. I say against these judges, but you know what I mean. Um, yeah, I don't know. Um, I don't have the highest level of confidence, but I will say I have decent confidence that Fiziev is going to win via decision. I think his power is going to pretty much outrank Gamrot's wrestling and stuff. I think he's going to catch Gamrot. He may, like I said, Gamrot's never been finished. But Gamrot's getting dropped by guys who have significantly less power than Fiziev. I mean, I can't imagine what's going to happen when Gamrot gets rocked by a guy like Fiziev. Does he recover like he has been? I think he does for what it's worth, but I think Gamrot's probably going to get dropped a couple times in different rounds, and Fiziev's going to win those rounds. So I think even if Fiziev, kind of starts slowing down towards the end of the fight, I have to imagine that listen, I don't know if I mentioned this, but Fiziev has pretty good takedown defense for a guy in Gamrot who's probably going to try to look to wrestle. Um, I don't think it's going to be super easy taking down Fiziev. And
I
who
guess
in their
some of
right
the
mind wants to get close to Fiziev. So yeah, like I said, I don't know. I have to lean Fiziev here, and ever so slightly for what a little bit more confidence in some of these other fights. Um, But yeah, I lean Fiziev here to get it done via decision. Like I said, I think Gamrot keeps his not finished streak intact, but I mean barely. It wouldn't shock me to see Fiziev get the finish here. But I don't know. Gamrot just it shocks me how well he can recover. So I'm just going to assume he can do the same here against Fiziev. Won't look pretty, but
yeah. Um, I'll say this: it is pretty cool. Obviously, we watched Fiziev for the first time together, fighting Bobby Green, long, long time ago at your house.
mhm.
I can't remember what card that was. It might have been the card that Cyril Gahn fought Derek Lewis. Um, man, I can't remember which card that was.
Me
No, I
neither. It,
digress.
wa-
Yeah,
it was a couple years ago for sure, or three.
yeah,
No, not 3 years ago, but a hot minute ago. Yeah.
yeah. But I digress. Um, it is really cool to see a guy that we watched and we were like, man, who is this guy? He looks pretty good. Um, come out and now he's one of the better fighters in the division. So I think that's cool. I just kind of wanted to
hmm
say that. See your thoughts
Yeah,
on that.
yeah, like I said, it's fun. Like I said, when you actually get to really start learning, like I said, I haven't really like started paying attention to UFC until like this year. I say paying attention, but like really getting into like the people outside of the top 15 in their respective divisions. But
Yeah,
yeah, like I said, once you do, it's really fun to kind of like pick out your favorite fighters and like see who I think this guy's going to make it big, like make it out the mud kind of thing. But like
yeah,
it's fun. It's like you said, it's very cool, very neat, very fun just to see guys kind of like work their way through the rankings. Like someone you've seen years ago,
yeah. And you're
who
like,
like just you
whoa,
didn't really
hold
forget
on now,
about
player.
them.
I know him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like man, oh man, I remember first watching this guy. That's what we're gonna be saying about Kopylov years down the road. We're gonna be
Oh,
bragging to everyone when he's
when he's a
hopefully he can
champ,
get a championship. Yeah, man, he still needs to make some drastic improvements, I think, but I think he's got it. I think he's got to put together soon now. I think. I mean,
dude, he's
his age
ready.
making it
He's
better
ready
for him.
now. If
He
y'all
wants
can't
John
tell, we're
Jones.
huge Copy Love homers.
Oh yeah, very, very. But yeah, for a let's say a fight night, which is a lot less chalkier than the last fight, the last fight card we covered. Daniel Cormier says Stipe Miocic has never looked better ahead of the John Jones title. Yeah, shut up, DC. Freaking
Of course.
yeah, go eat some
Of
snacks,
course.
bro. Anyways, yeah, like I said, this is. I think this is gonna be a much interesting card. I think, like I said, the lower level fights are lower level for a reason. And I think the closer fights are closer than probably most. Like I said, most of these odds are suggesting. So, yeah, I think we should have a decently entertaining card this weekend. At least I hope. It won't be entertaining in the sense of like, oh, everyone's getting finished, but as far as like levels of fighters going up against each other, I mean, interesting in that sense.
Yeah, and I mean, I will say it is probably one of the not so great cards we've had in a while, but I think that's more so because the UFC's just been stacking cards lately, and
Hmm.
props to them. But now, man, we get to one of these kinds of fights, which I'm stoked for the Fiziev Gamrot fight, but it's like everything else is I don't want to say underwhelming, but it almost underwhelming for me. Uh,
Yeah, nope, I get it.
so I guess that's the price you pay when you have all these great cards back to back to back to back to back.
Hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, not all of them can be like your certified hood classics, but I mean, I mean, I'll take ones like this that are free. I guess I'll take. You won't see me
Oh yeah,
complaining.
without a doubt. At the end of the day, like you said, they're free, so they're
Hmm.
great.
Yep,
Hey, but
absolutely.
speaking of cards, do you want to touch on what was announced last night?
Yeah, we can for the next two pay per views. I believe is that what you're referring to?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So
And I'll pull up the full cards here before we
what's
leave anyone.
yeah, so obviously, um, if you're an MMA fan, the next two cards were announced no, January September 20th, uh, late in the night, and they are some bangers. A fight that we've been watching for quite some time, and I think we've even mentioned why it wasn't getting done on this show. Um, the Kobe Leon fight, it's official. Main event of its card. And then also on the John Jones card, you have another title fight, which is the Yuri Prohashka making his return, fighting Alex Pereira. Um, Holy moly! I mean, everybody, everybody was
uh,
excited about the John Jones fight. Now it's like John Jones who?
yeah, right. I think yeah, definitely. The only reason we're saying that no disrespect to probably the greatest heavyweight of all time is Stipe Miocic and probably the greatest fighter of all time, John Jones, and like I said, was just an astronomical matchup between the two. But we have the light heavyweight title fight too, and like I said, a division that especially since Pereira moved up, and like I said, with all the injuries happening to all the champs for some reason, inexplicably,
The light heavyweight
Bra-
curse.
yeah, like I said, Prohaska is making his return, and a guy who is riding a massive hot streak of sorts, and then another guy who's riding a massive hot streak of sorts in Alex Pereira, still, making his light heavyweight, I guess, I wouldn't call it his debut. What's the word I'm looking for here? He's still making a name for
Reign
himself in the light
almost.
heavyweight division. Yeah, yeah, I guess he's still welcoming himself to everyone in the division by, just, I say ran through, oh God, I can't remember his name, Polish
Jan
Power.
Blachowicz.
Yes, thank you. Pretty much, I say ran through him. I mean, I don't know, take it how you
He
want it.
looked good though, man.
Yeah,
Like
as I
he
say, I
was
think,
defending takedowns. He was competent on the ground. I mean,
yeah, like,
scary hours.
yeah, like I
Scary
said,
hours.
yeah, so Jan definitely looked like a shell of his former self, though, for what it's worth. But yeah, I mean, you can't ask for a better match. I mean, I think for what it's worth, like I said, I haven't really done film on Prohaska in a hot minute, but like I said, from what I remember, I mean, this dude is a freak of nature, and I was going to say the ground game, sorry, on the feet, and so is Pereira. And I think it's gonna be an interesting fight. Like I said, I mean, we've seen Pereira, I mean, get knocked out cold by Izzy, someone who has great power and great technique behind his strikes.
His
I
last
wouldn't say,
fight.
yeah, I would, yeah. But to be fair, sure, and I wouldn't say Prohaska has that level of technique, but boy, his power. He's a fun striker to watch for what it's worth. If I'm not mistaken,
He
he got
is.
like a spinning knockout on oh God, what's the dude's name? Boy, he put up a good fight against John Jones. I can't remember the
Dominic
guy's name.
Reyes.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's who he got a spinning knockout on. Um, Yeah, Yuri, fun fighter to watch. Like, I mean, I'm looking at ESPN right now, 29-3-1. Um, I said returning from injury. I mean, I don't know how he's going to look. I mean, um,
Yeah, he had
I
one of the
imagine
worst
good, but
shoulder surg I mean, one of the worst shoulder injuries we've seen in the UFC.
mhm,
So, man, I hope he's okay, dude. God, I hope he's
yeah,
okay.
I think for what it's worth, the fight's gonna be very good. So both of these guys are decently heavy volume guys. They're very accurate with their strikes, and they have very similar builds. I said Pereira's still kind of a behemoth, even for the light heavyweight division. But like I said, Yuri, maybe with his hair, I think he cut his hair actually last time I saw him, which was like months ago. But um,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right.
yeah, like I said, very similar guys, very similar in their what's their technique, their style of fighting. They don't go for takedowns. They like to stand and bang, and so it should be interesting. Should be a very good fight. Yes, very excited.
Yeah, and even as powerful as Pereira is, I mean, dude, Yuri Prohashka can take a freaking lick and just look at you
Hmm.
and like smile. I mean, he's almost like a goofy fighter. I don't.
Hmm.
Yeah, oh, dude, I'm excited for that fight. God, man, and like you said, no disrespect towards John Jones and Stipe Miocic, but this
Yeah,
fight's a
that
little bit
fight.
more
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah. Especially the so the John Jones Stipe Miocic fight is almost like dessert, and the Prohashka Pereira fight is the main course, the entree. Unfortunately, I am looking here though. We have a crappy appetizer in Jessica Andrade versus Mackenzie Dern.
Oh, just
Like I said, they
Andrade.
I know, but I mean, hey, they can't all be bangers. But for what it's worth, it looks like Roman Dolidze is supposed to be on the card too. Looks like they're missing a fight on here. I don't know. They still got to hurry up and put that card together in true UFC fashion. You know, only like a month and a half away from this from this card happening, and they're still trying to figure it out. But yeah, and then I said real quickly we'll cover too the Edwards. Oh, nice, Debo Samuel just made a big play. Yay! Anyways,
Dang, dude,
we'll
you're way
cover the
behind.
UFC 296. Sorry, I get sleeper alerts like super late. I noticed that when I was watching it live earlier. But yeah, anyways, UFC 296. But yeah, like I said, a fight we've been, I guess, kind of waiting for. Oh, excuse me. And then on top of that, oh, what division is it? Flyweight, I believe. Roy Val and Pantoja, got got scheduled. So yeah, that should be a good fight too. Like I said, I mean, we have two. Like I said, UFC usually does justice towards the end of the year. They usually make like the last card really good. But I mean, the 295 and 296 and 294 even. Like I said, they're really like I think. I mean, possibly the best three-fight main card. I'm sorry, three-fight pay-per-view stretch for sure this year, probably in the past decade. Um, yeah, Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington. That should be a fun matchup. That should be very fun. Um,
Man, yeah, it is.
that's his style once again, kind of one of those stylistic matchups.
Yeah,
Um,
but even then, I mean, Kobe. No, he's not known for his striking, but his striking is a little
uh,
underrated.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And like, I mean, dude is like short, stocky, and he's just like, I mean, he almost
He's a little sneaky. Like he doesn't get hit a whole lot.
no, like I said, he aggravates everyone he's ever
Oh
fought
my
against. I
god, I
mean,
know.
I have to imagine that if he can negate Jorge Masvidal, well, do not mean this as Jorge Masvidal and Leon Edwards are on the same level. I mean this in the sense of I can compare the styles of Leon Edwards and Jorge Masvidal a lot closer, since these fights are in recent memory. But I mean, I have to imagine that if Colby Covington can kind of shut down the effectiveness of Jorge Masvidal, which is his striking and his ability to aggravate his opponents by, like, say, keeping the fights at range and just clocking them before they know what happens. I have to imagine he can almost do the same for Leon Edwards. Obviously Leon, he's been a favorite of a lot of people for a while now. And like I said, his championship run against Usman is solidifying it. Um, for I will say for what it's worth, I'm not the biggest Leon Edwards fan. I'm not like a hater of the guy, but I'm I'm not compared to other champions in the UFC, I should say, I'm not too impressed with Leon Edwards. His fight against Colby Covington though, I think should is going to show a lot about his um
Yeah, is he here to
what's
stay
what's
or?
the Yeah, what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for whenever you have to
Pedigree,
overcome something? Well, yeah, that when you have to overcome the adversity.
adversity.
Adversity, yes. I think this, like I said, this fight can get ugly fast for Leon Edwards, especially if Colby Covington has it his way and wants to make the judges have to give a greasy decision. Leon's gonna have to catch Colby Covington one way or the other. But I think for what it's worth, like I said, Colby Covington loves to get takedowns. I mean, let's see, he averages four every fight, and I have to imagine that's a 15-minute average. Um, yeah, like I don't know, man. Like I said, this fight's gonna be good too. This fight's gonna be really good.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's just gonna be like a fun fight to watch. Very fun.
Yeah. Man, I'm excited for this one. Uh, Obviously, I'm a big Kobe fan. He's either a guy you hate or you love.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, man, he. A lot of people think he's a little. I mean, he's overrated. I get it. I get it. He hadn't fought anybody that's in the current top 15, which is crazy if you think, or
Mhm.
has a win over anybody in the current top 15, I should say, which is pretty crazy to think about. Um, but dude, I mean, he went toe to toe with Kamaru Usman in Usman's reign of terror.
Mhm.
Um, and like this is before the head kick knockout when Usman was just outclassing everybody that he fought. I mean, outstriking guys like Gilbert Burns and such. Now, did he beat Kamaru Usman? No, but he was competitive in any kind of way you could imagine.
Mhm.
So, I mean, don't make no mistake about it. Kobe Covington is a fantastic fighter. Um, I get why people would say like are questioning him, but I mean, there's a reason that Dana's given him 3 title fights in his last 5 fights.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, and the guy always brings it, dude. That's the most you can ever ask. Like I said, I mean, he always. I mean, both these guys really bring it.
Mhm.
Yes, and there's nothing more energetic than Colby Covington walk out. Haven't heard it in like years. It feels like years now, just because it's been so long since he's fought. But yeah, so Dana White loves some people who are willing to go out there and put on a fight. Um, and like I said, Colby Covington's your guy. I mean, full of trash talk, but full of energy. Always backs it up. Like I said, not quite Conor McGregor level, but boy, he sure
He
not in
definitely
the style.
tries.
I
He
mean, but
gives it his best.
he sure reminds you of the personality of Conor McGregor. Like I said, if Conor McGregor was full blood American, Trump supporter, he'd be Colby Covington, I think.
Yep.
But yeah, very good stuff, man. Definitely excited for the future. But
Oh yeah,
we've been talking
most
about
certainly.
UFC for a while. If you want to move on to some football
Oh
here for a
yeah, I'm
little
ready.
bit. All right, NFL or NCAA? Forgot what we discussed. We do first. Up
We'll
to
go.
you.
We will go NCAA first if you'd like.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
So,
You got some.
man.
I was about to say fights. Golly, I gotta. Anyways, you got some games you've been keeping your eye on.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's. I mean, dude, it's a great week of
Yeah,
college
this is a
football.
stacked weekend. Yeah, I know. After a lackluster weekend.
Yeah, so obviously you got Florida State, number 4 Florida State versus unranked Clemson, which I mean, when's the last time you heard me say that or heard anybody say that? Unranked Clemson. Um, make no mistake about it. Clemson is still here. Clemson's still talented. They still have Dabo Swinney on the sidelines. Look, they're gonna come out and they're gonna give Florida State their best swing at things, and I think this game's gonna be come down to the wire. I do have Florida State winning, but I think they're a little bit more talented on both sides of the ball. But man, Florida State it's going to be a close game. Clemson is going to give them a good game. Um, let me see what other game. Oh, Colorado and Oregon. I know we've been saying Colorado a whole bunch. Um, but Colorado's first legitimate test. I know everybody thought TCU was going to be this great team, which I mean, look, they're really not. They're not a great team. Defensively, they're horrible. Offensively, they could be better. They're a little turnover prone so far this year, but um, yeah, Nebraska was decent defensively, horrid on the offensive side. I mean, I've never seen somebody so bad offensively. I think their quarterback had money on that game in favor of Colorado. So yeah, and then Colorado State gave them. I mean, they gave them a hell of a game last week, but I mean, it's Colorado State. It's not
Hmm.
Oregon.
Hmm.
So obviously, Oregon favored by 21 points. I don't know if they get there, but I do think that Nebraska's defense did a pretty good job of handling Colorado's offense up until their quarterback started making really, really stupid decisions and turning the ball over deep into Nebraska territory. Then he kind of fell apart after that. But I think Oregon's got better athletes on the defensive side of the ball than Nebraska does. They have a great head coach in Dan Lanning that's going to make some defensive adjustments. Obviously, a Kirby Smart guy. Um, he came from Georgia. He was a defense coordinator in the first year that they won the national championship. So defensive oriented guy, but their offense can put up some freaking points, man. Um, so I'm circling this game. I'm definitely gonna watch it. But at the same time slot, actually, yeah, I mean, there's two other games that I'm watching on the same time slot, and that is UCLA and Utah and Ole Miss and Alabama. UCLA Utah is, yeah, I mean, oh man, that has stars all over it for me. You got Dante Moore, the freshman phenom for UCLA. He's been balling lately. Officially named the starter today, I believe. Um, Going up against number 11 Utah, who I think has the best defense in the Pac-12. Cam Rising will return this weekend. So super excited to see how Utah's offense looks. Um, yeah, I think that's going to be a heavyweight bout there, and then Ole Miss, Alabama. Uh, can Alabama kind of shake off some of those question marks that you have on them, but or is it more the same? Is Ole Miss gonna walk into Tuscaloosa and beat them? Does Lane Kiffin finally get that win over Nick Saban? We'll see. If you ask me today, I might say Alabama. If you ask me tomorrow, I might say Ole Miss. It's been this way all week. People have been asking me who I think is going to win that game. One day I'll say Ole Miss. One day I'll say Alabama. I think I've said Ole Miss Monday and Wednesday, Alabama Tuesday and Thursday. So, look, stop asking me. Quit asking.
I'm not gonna
Because
answer, so quit asking.
I don't know. So, um, if you wanted to know, no, I'm absolutely not betting on that game. Um, I'm staying far, far, far away from it. And I
That's
believe there
fair.
was one more game that I was interested in. Let me see.
You're forgetting a
Oh,
pretty big one.
yeah, no, no, duh. Ohio State and Notre Dame. Um, College game day is going there. It's another game that you might ask me Monday who I think was going to win, and I might say one team, and you ask me tomorrow who I think is going to win, I might say the other team. So, um, yeah, I mean, the spread's -3 in favor of Ohio State, but I think their quarterback play has been a little questionable. Meanwhile, Notre Dame has got it going on lately, but I don't think they've been really tested. I mean, neither has Ohio State, but I think Ohio State's so talented that they'll overcome it in this game. And that's not me saying Ohio State will win. I'm just gonna say they're gonna look good in this game. I think Notre Dame's also gonna look good in this game. Um, if I had to pick a winner, I'll go Ohio State. If I had to pick a winner for the Alabama Ole Miss game, get back to me. Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. And then of course you also got uh, Penn State and Iowa, which look, Iowa's offense is atrocious, but Penn State isn't exactly lighting it up on the offensive side of the ball. So I think that'll be a pretty intriguing game. And then my Heisman winner, my projected Heisman winner, plays California at 9:30 p.m. It's late. Uh, in Washington is favored by 20 and a half there. So yes, by the way, my projected Heisman winner is Michael Penix X with an X Junior.
Mhm.
Um, my sicko game of the week probably gonna be Rice in South Florida.
That's fair. I think that's a fair sicko pick. Yeah, I'll cover a couple of other games. I think that may be interesting, maybe worth noting in the noon slot for Eastern time, of course. Auburn and Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M. This is a good spot to get back on the right foot. I guess as far as their perception in the
Jimbo's
college
dead to
football
me.
world. Yeah, fair enough. Um, yeah, Michigan also plays at the time. They only play Rutgers though. They're pretty big favorites there, more than 3 touchdowns. Miami looks to continue to build and their momentum. Ranked 20 now. They're going up against Temple. I mean, they're pretty big favorites there as well. A couple of closer games: Oklahoma State and Iowa State. Battle of the states here should be a fairly interesting game, I think. And another game, Oregon State. Oregon State and Washington State. Another battle of the
Mhm.
states. And also a battle of the ranks. Oregon State will be going to Washington State. Oregon State boasts a 3-point favorite. Um, yeah, I don't know. Two teams I was decently high on. I think Oregon State obviously has a little bit more momentum here. I call the experiment, but the transfer quarterback, what's his name again?
DJ Uyunglele.
Thank you. He's actually working out pretty well for him. For what it's worth.
Who would have thought the
Um,
number one quarterback out of high school was actually going to be decent?
right, and for like I said, for what it's worth, he's on the better team this year, at least as far as rankings are concerned. Um, he came out of Clemson, right?
Correct.
Just making sure. And
Which is crazy because another highly touted quarterback in Cade Klubnik is playing for them, and he's also not great. So, at what point do you say,
mm,
maybe it's not the quarterback?
yeah, yeah. Who knows? And like you said, I think Florida State and Clemson is definitely going to be the game to watch, though. Along with Ohio State and Notre Dame. But and yeah, thankfully they're at different time slots. And my Heisman will be playing at Oregon um at 3:30. I'm joking. Sanders, Shoulders Sanders is not my. Anyway, I'm sorry. Um, and for what it's worth, I'll pick a winner for you in the Ole Miss Alabama game. I think Alabama. I don't know. I think Alabama rights the ship, but yeah, I mean, Ole Miss has been looking good. But I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, who's the best player? Who's the best team they fought? God, I keep saying fight because UFC's on my mind. Who's the best team they have went up against so
Tennessee.
far without Michael Pratt?
Correct. Which, yes, Ole Miss's defense is not great, but I mean the perfect remedy for that is facing Alabama's offense. So,
Fair enough. Fair enough. Made USF look like freaking. I don't even know who. I don't
on the
know.
flip side, on the flip side, Ole Miss's offensive line is Swiss cheese, and Alabama's D line is wonderful. So,
Jackson Dart takes the snap, gets
if Ja-
sacked.
if if Jackson Dart survives this game, I think they
Mm.
win. I will say that.
Jackson Dart lining up in the shotgun, 20 yards back. Long, long snapper out there
Oh,
on the
I'll
field,
also
snapping
say
the ball.
this: Ole Miss actually has the two best quarterbacks in this game, and Spencer Sanders and Jackson Dart, which is just
Mm,
wild to think
mhm.
about. Like, I mean, it's going to be the same thing with like LSU with Garrett Nussmeier and Jaden Daniels. I mean, when's the last time you could say that about Alabama? Is that there were two quarterbacks on the field that were better than their starting quarterback?
Right, yeah, and man, I will say this too. Remind me of the black guy, the black quarterback's name for Alabama,
Yes, Milrow,
Milrow.
Jalen Milrow,
Yeah, what he got his starting job back because
correct.
obviously Nick Saban says, "Oh, I like the leadership." What that one little clip we saw of him, celebrating because his other quarterback finally did something good and he knew he was going to get his job back. Yeah, I think obviously Saban probably gave him the job back after seeing how good the other option. Uh, you're choosing the lesser of two evils if you're Saban. I think.
Yeah, what's
Um,
crazy is the quarterback Buchner. I can't. I'm not familiar with the pronunciation of his name, but
yeah, once he's
uh,
good, we'll figure out the pronunciation.
yeah, exactly. So what's crazy is that he's been in that offensive system for I think 2 or 3 years, and Tommy
Oh, he's
Reese
a
left
fifth year
Notre.
letterman.
No, Tommy Reese left Notre Dame to come to Alabama. Brought him with him, and he still sucks. So,
Mm.
uh, hey, time to learn Chinese, buddy.
Oh yeah, I mean at a certain point, yeah, he's in the fan controlled league where everyone spams four verticals.
Four verticals.
Yeah, but yeah, like definitely an exciting weekend. It's probably gonna be one of the better weekends of college football. I mean, this early into the season too. Like I said, a lot of close games. As far as spreads are concerned, variance in college football go along like peanut butter and jelly. But like I said, for what it's worth, I think a lot of these games are gonna be very entertaining and very close. Like I said, Ohio State, Notre Dame kind of tops the list for me, um, along with Florida State and Clemson.
Oregon, Colorado for me. No comment of why,
Nope.
but just know that I will be
The
watching
downfall
that
of
game.
Colorado.
Oh yeah, I'm tired of people talking reckless about them. I've had enough.
Mhm.
I've actually
Yeah.
got a $100 wager on USC beating Colorado, and I hate USC. So, I mean, it's on $100 straight up. Like if
Oh,
I
man,
win the
that's
bet,
easy.
if I win the bet, I get a hundred
That's an easy
dollars.
$100. Man, shoot. Let me find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, DraftKings does a special
No, it
where
ain't
they,
DraftKings. It's one of my dumb
yeah.
coworkers.
I'm just saying DraftKings would probably kill themselves before they ever released odds like that.
Yeah. So
Uh, but yeah, very interesting Saturday for college football. I'm not sure if there's any games going on tomorrow. Or let me rephrase. I'm sure there are games going on tomorrow. I just don't know who they may be.
I don't think it's anything great. Let me
Okay.
see.
Yeah, that's usually how it ends up being. But yeah. I mean, if you any final thoughts on college football? Are you ready to move on to our last segment with NFL coverage?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm ready. All right, we won't cover every game. But for what it's worth, there are a couple games out there that should be interesting.
Going to one
Um,
right now.
yeah. I don't even know what's the
20 to
score.
12, 49ers.
Good for the Giants. They're making it close. Um,
The
8
Giants. I mean,
points.
the 49ers are toying with them.
Or they oh
They're
what they
like
do
taking
what
knees at the 1 yard line, dangling the ball. Like you know how like you would like hand the ball to somebody and then at the last second like grab it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
Well, what I imagine is they have, you know how whenever you do like a potato sack race with a partner, like you each have one leg, like in a potato sack. You know what I'm talking about? Burlap sack
Yes,
maybe. That's what they have. McCaffrey and Debo have they have their wrists tied together and their ankles tied together, and they're having to run routes simultaneously.
exactly. Oh, and
Uh,
Purdy's throwing with his left arm, by the way.
he has to only do Max Johnson behind the back passes.
Mm, can we not?
sorry, sorry, but yeah. Moving on to some of the more interesting games. Yeah, a battle of completely defeateds. Surprisingly, Chargers and Vikings. Yeah, kickoff at noon for that game. It what should be a good game. Like I said, I'm not sure. I think Eckler's still out. But yeah, these are two teams that you're kind of surprised to be hearing. They aren't. They haven't gotten their win yet. Granted, like I said, this is only the third week of the NFL season. Still young, but I mean, like I said, I mean these are two teams. The Vikings, I guess, I'm not too surprised about. You lose to the Buccaneers. It's pretty. I don't
You
know.
say that, but the Bucks are 2-0.
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, I will say the NFC's kind of surprised me so
Who would
far
have
this
thought
year.
that the NFC South would have three 2-0 teams?
Granted, I will say, they haven't like beat the Chiefs or anything. And like I said, I wasn't too high on the Vikings this year, and thankfully they're kind of proving me right. Chargers, on the other hand, though, I mean, I was decently high on them. I know I was questioning whether or not they make the playoffs. I think they obviously do now that the Jets are out. No, the Jets aren't completely done for, but hey, Aaron, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, Chargers and Vikings. I don't know. That's the Chargers at Vikings, I believe. Very hard for me to pick a winner. I think Minnesota's a slight favorite, but I really think this game could go either way. Oh God, I can't believe that one of these teams is going to be 0-3. Most likely, I know obviously they can end in a tie, but let's just be a little realistic here and say that one of these teams is going to win, the other team is going to lose. I don't know who. I really don't. The Chargers have been I will say they haven't been disappointing, but I mean their offense just seems to be clicking. Vikings, on the other hand, the offense, it's like when the offense does click, they blow up on themselves. Kirk Cousins just it just turns into prime time Kirk Cousins. So yeah, I don't know who I'd give this victory to. I guess I lean Chargers ever so slightly, but I can't. I will not be betting this game. I think it'd just be an interesting game to watch to see who gets their lick back.
Yeah, so I don't think that Justin Herbert has ever had a winning season. I mean, like he's never had a winning record in his career. I don't know if that's still accurate, but I'm looking at his record right now. 25 and 26. So I guess he did have a winning record at the beginning of the year, but uh, man, that is insane to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's very weird to see both of these teams 0-2. One of them I can understand. Both of them kind of crazy. Let's see another. Let's see, just going off of spreads here. We have another doubleheader. Monday night football and
Mm, can't
Eagles
wait
and
to see.
Buccaneer.
Can't
Yeah,
wait to see who
Eagles.
gets hurt this time.
Right, yeah. It's either someone from the Eagles, Buccaneers, or someone from the Rams, Bengals. I'm not sure how
No,
much.
no, no.
Yeah, and I think
We're
Joe
not
Burrow's already hurt,
doing
so maybe that kind of
Jamar.
maybe Joe
No.
Burrow kind of counts because he's already technically hurt.
No, because he
So
got
like,
hurt last Sunday. No, Jamar and Joe are
Burrow
done.
got hurt like
Oh my
2 months
god.
ago.
Oh my god.
I
Jamar
don't
and
know what
Joe
you
are
talking
done.
about. Burrow got hurt 2 months ago,
Oh my
and
god.
he still hasn't recovered, dude. Dude, freaking looks like he's freaking galloping on a horse out there.
No, no.
Um,
Hey,
yeah, and
speaking of injuries,
stupid
some
to
dude for
play
the
him.
Giants just like hurt his elbow and he can't even stand up.
Oh dang, womp womp.
Exactly.
Anyways, yeah, Rams and Bengals. Rams will be visiting the Bengals, and kind of crazy to say, another surprise team for me. The Rams. Their offense is doing so much better than I thought they would be, especially with Cooper Cup out. I mean, Puka. I'm not going to try and say his last name. Nicau, something like that. Um, a shocking
Anyhow.
emergence. Yes. Cam Akers being traded to the Vikings too. Pretty interesting development. But obviously, Sean McVay hates running backs not named Todd Gurley the third. Um, so yeah, Kyron Williams is now at full control of that backfield, and like I said, the offense seems to be clicking. They're going up against probably one of the weaker defenses in the league. I think, at least I think, in the Bengals. Um, yeah, like I said, they couldn't seem to slow down Lamar and the Ravens last week. But I mean, thankfully, for what it's worth, I don't think the Rams offense is quite on that level. But like I said, the Rams offense has clicked a lot better than I thought they would this early in the season. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, the spread is Cincinnati -3, which is crazy to me. That the Bengals are only 3-point favorites against a team like the Rams. But I think recency bias is taking that one over a little bit. Um, I'll probably give the advantage here to the Bengals. I think they get their first win of the season here against the Rams, and I won't say dominant fashion, but I think they kind of shut up some of the naysayers around the league.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time before the Bengals kind of figure things out.
Yeah, absolutely. They always get off to slow starts. Trust me, I know. I'm an AFC North guy. I'm a Ravens fan. Unfortunately, I know all too well of the Ravens starting out well and the Bengals starting off like crap, and then it usually ends up being Ravens versus Bengals for the championship or for the division title, I should say. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, I think Bengals get their first win here. It also kind of rides on whether or not Joe Burrow plays or not. Uh, I think for what it's worth, Joe Burrow's a tough guy. He's going to try and get it out. Um, but like I said, I mean, against the Rams, I don't think it's the biggest deal that he misses. If I'm just going to be completely honest, I think Joe Burrow can probably miss the game and they'd still win. Um, but yeah, we'll have to see what the status of Joe Burrow is for that game. Um,
Just
Go ahead.
real quick on the
Yep, no
contrary, I
problem.
think it is important that he plays because it doesn't seem like he's in sync with the offense, and obviously being hurt for most of the training camp, I think that had a lot to do with it. So maybe it is important that he plays in this game just to kind of get back into the rhythm.
Yeah, absolutely. It is, I guess, to another counterpoint to that counterpoint. It's kind of hard to ask a guy who is injured to get back
Yeah,
into his rhythm, especially a rhythm of highest contract in NFL history kind of
yeah, no,
rhythm.
no doubt.
So and I mean, what does anyone do with their money, especially their investments? They protect them, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
So nice. It's gonna be interesting to see. Like it's mainly gonna come down to Joe Burrow what he wants to do. I mean, doctor's probably gonna tell him to stay out of it. Joe Burrow's probably gonna say I want to play. So um, and hey, I mean, let's be honest. Cincinnati coach, what's his name? Zach
Zach Taylor,
Taylor. Yeah, dude's an idiot. So, if it
Zach
was up to
Loser.
him, yeah, if it was up to him, Joe Burrow is playing no matter what.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
yeah, you just ask the scars all over Joe Burrow's legs from his various surgeries. What Zach Taylor thinks of him. But anyways, yep, should be a decently interesting game. I expect the Bengals to bounce back here. Is there a game you want to cover, Peyton? If not, I can choose one last game here. That
no, I think you've covered the two games that I was most interested in.
All right, and all right. Well, one more game that should be a closer one. Um, I'm not gonna dare say entertaining, but
Mm.
close. Saints and Packers. Saints will be going to Lambeau Field to take on the new Jordan Love Packers. Yeah, Saints are 2-0, coming off of a gutsy win against the Titans and a win against probably the worst team in the league in the Panthers. um, the Panthers are god awful.
Bryce Young
I'm
is
not.
not that guy.
No, and he's not even gonna be playing. Freaking, I mean,
I mean,
dude,
dude,
I don't know.
anytime you
I
gotta
don't know what to
bring
say.
in Andy Dalton to run a quarterback sneak for you, dude, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I mean, yeah, it's not a good look, but yeah. Anyways, Saints and Packers should be interesting. Can
Mm.
the Saints offense kind of keep up what they've been able to
Keep
do?
up.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to look. I'm trying to spin this here. Listen, the Packers at home, obviously they're the favorites, but they're not that big of a favorite. Minus 1.5 favorites. So I think it's really going to come down to the Packers offense to see if they could get it done against the Saints defense. There's a player, Marcus May, I believe, just received a suspension for some drug abuse. Not sure what that's about. Obviously, he's not going to be present there. But for what it's worth, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, Marshawn Lattimore, Fred Warner, sorry. Um, yeah, I mean, solid defense all around. I think a young Packers offense still trying to find its sea legs, I guess. I mean, Jordan Love has looked all right. But let's be honest, they're still trying to figure things out, see what direction they want to go. I think the Saints defense is going to make it tough on them. But at the end of the day, it also comes back to can the Saints offense get going? Like I said, they look decent against the Panthers, right? But that's the Panthers. You're going up against the Packers now at Lambeau Field, in a very very hostile crowd. So yeah, it should be an interesting game. I ever so slightly favor Green Bay, and I think the spread is pretty spot on. Like you said, minus 1.5. I think that can honestly go either way. I think this is a straight up pick 'em. But yeah, I'll take the Packers at home against the Saints, especially a Saints offense that has been poo poo.
Yeah, shocker to nobody. Derek Carr is trash. Um, Man, I wonder who called that. I mean, he was bad in Oakland, or I'm sorry, Las Vegas and Oakland. He was, and now he's bad in New Orleans. I mean, wow, who could have ever thought that would happen?
Yeah, no shocker.
Yeah, shocker. A guy who sucks still sucks after being traded. Um, yeah, no, Saints offense is just sickening. Um, I mean, they have three fantastic wide receivers playing for them, and they just cannot get them the ball.
Yeah, yeah, and
We rely on Chris Olave circus catches to win the games, and I mean he can do it. He can do it. He's good enough to do it. But I mean, let's not
yeah,
count on those anymore.
yeah. Especially considering last season he tried doing one, he got like knocked clean out, and
Yeah.
I mean
Oh my
it
gosh.
looked like he died on the field.
Yeah.
Bro thought he was back at Ohio State when he woke up. And
No kidding.
yeah, so yeah, so interesting things happening around the sports world this weekend. A lot of games to watch out for, a lot of fights to watch out for. Peyton, you got any closing thoughts here?
Nope.
All right, I figured. Not a thought goes on in that brain.
Oh
I'm
no.
joking. Anyways, yep. Thank you all for listening once again. As always, we appreciate it. And if you agree, disagree with us, sound off. Let us know. Like I said, we don't claim to know everything, but we sure do try to know everything. Um,
Yep.
and like I said, should be sit down, with the family or friends, enjoy some sports this weekend. I mean, that's what it's about here. Get mad at your favorite team for no reason, or don't. Maybe if your team does well, good for you. I know mine probably won't, but
Even if mine does, I'm still gonna be pissed off. So
yeah, I'll find a reason.
yeah,
Best
those of you
believe.
who actually can watch sports and enjoy yourselves, all the power to you. I can't do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys as always. We appreciate it. Peace
Yep.
out.
Thank y'all for listening. Bye.